Let's continue in the Lucid Word. The author says, Section 7, clarifying the integrals of Wudu. Among the conditions of valid prayer is Wudu, ablution, which is using water on specific parts of the body initiated with an intention. So Wudu is for some organs, not all of the organs. Ghusl is for all of the body. Its integrals are 6. The first integral is the intention of purification for the prayer in one's heart, or any other valid intention. So the intention of purification for the prayer, that's valid intention. Or any other valid intention, like intending, I am now making wudu, or the obligatory wudu, yani. So an intention is like, now I make wudu, or like obligatory wudu, or intending to make permissible that which requires ablution. Like, now I do what makes permissible what needs wudu. Like intending to make prayer or touching the Quran permissible for them, for one. It is not sufficient for one to utter the intention with one's tongue without having it in one's heart. Yani, he doesn't have the intention, because the intention is in the heart, not the tongue. If you say something with your tongue, it's only to assist the heart. Nor is it sufficient to intend performing purification only. And the Wahhabis refute that, by the way. They say, I don't know if they say it's a bid'ah or they say it's haram to say the intention with your tongue. It's not the case. That's amongst the things that they decided that they don't like for some reason, and so they speak against it. It is not sufficient for one to utter the intention with one's tongue without having it in one's heart. Nor is it sufficient to intend performing purification only, because it's too broad to say, now I make purification. The intention must occur when washing one's face, at the same time, that is. The intention and washing the face are simultaneous. I.e., when washing the first part of the face, not before or after that. That is, when the water touches the face. When the water touches, then one needs to have an intention. It is a requirement that the intention accompanies the washing of one's face, according to Imam Ash-Shafi'i, may Allah raise his rank. According to Imam Malik ibn Anas, may Allah raise his rank, it suffices if the intention were made a short time prior to washing one's face. So this here, what Imam Malik is saying, is valid. For the intention to proceed washing the face by a short time, that's what Ash-Shafi'i calls a decision, not an intention. An azm, a decision. And according to Ash-Shafi'i, the decision is not valid. You have to have the intention, which is when you're commencing the deed. The niyyah, the intention, has to always be at the commencement of the deed, except for fasting. Fasting is the exclusion. So you're going to make your intention for zakah when you separate your zakah money from the rest of your money. You're going to make the intention for prayer when you say Allahu Akbar. And you're going to make the intention for wudu or ghusl when the water touches, when the water contacts you. The second integral is washing what is apparent of the whole face once. Yani, the outside, if you want another word. The second integral is to wash the outer face, the entire outer face. Outer face, as opposed to what? As opposed to under your eyelids, inside your ears, inside your nose, inside your mouth. I think outer is the right word, but we've been translating it as apparent for a long time. Zahir. Everything that is within the boundary of the face must be washed, including hair and skin. So eyebrows, mustache, the hair under your bottom lip, and that includes the sideburns. That's the hair between your temple and your jawbone that runs alongside your ear. Especially if you have long hair, a man or a woman, and maybe the women in particular, because they're going to tuck their hair back and put their scarves on, like tuck their hair behind their ears or the like, or pull their hair back with a pin, some sort of a pin, and then put scarf, for example. So the hair between your temple and your jaw that runs alongside your ear, that's facial hair. You have to wash all of the face and what is on it. Everything within the boundary of the face, you have to wash it. So that means that if you have such hair, such sideburns, you need to pull it out so that you can get the water in there. And saying that you don't have to get those hairs is a weak saying. The boundary of the face lengthwise is from the hairline for most people to the bottom of the chin. The hairline for most people, yani, the normal hairline, as opposed to a receding hairline, and as opposed to what some might call a widow's peak, which is the hairline that grows into your forehead. The face starts from the normal hairline down to the chin. Where the jawbones meet, so you have two jawbones, one on the right, one on the left, and they converge in the middle. That's your chin. And widthwise, from the tragus of the ear to the tragus of the other ear. Yani, from ear to ear. However, it is not an obligation to wash the inside of a man's thick beard, which is the hair grown on the chin and the lower jawbones. So here, this word beard is being translated from the Arabic word lihya. Lihya means beard. That's the chin hair. And in the Arabic text, it also mentions al-aridan. That's the two strips of jawbone hair. So you have hair, a man would have hair on both of his jawbones, lining his jawbones, and his jawbones converge and meet at his chin. So the hair of his chin, that's called lihya. That's literally a beard. Like what the goat has. The goat has lihya. The hair grows right off of his chin bone. But what about this hair on the jawbones? So that's called in Arabic, each one of them is called arib. Arib. So in English, in this translation and in other translations, they condensed the chin hair and the jawbone hairs into one word in English, which is beard. But if you want to know exactly what's going on there, what the Shaykh mentions in the Arabic is the chin hair and the jawbone hair. He names them. He doesn't mention all of those under one word. Yes. Arib. That last letter is a bod. Arib. Now, in Arabic, it is possible to call the chin hair with the jawbone hairs lihya, all of it. But that's not truly the lihya. Truly the lihya is just the jawbone hair. If the beard is not thick, oh, hold on. Rather, it is sufficient, let me back up. However, it is not an obligation to wash the inside of a man's thick beard, which is the hair grown on the chin. That's the real lihya. And the lower jawbones. That's the aridan, the two arids. Each jawbone has an arid, so there's two arids. Rather, here, you could put a period here and then start a new sentence here. Rather, it is sufficient to wash the exterior part of the beard, meaning the outside. You wash over, if you have a thick beard means that the skin beneath the hair is not visible at conversation distance. When they say at conversation distance, maybe they mean even at conversation distance. Meaning, even if you were so close, like having a conversation, you still can't see the skin under the hair. So then it's enough to wash the outside of that, not wipe it, so don't be confused there. We're not saying if you have a thick beard, you can just wipe it. No. You're going to wash the outside of your face. With all of its hairs, you're going to wash that. But if a man has a thick beard, he doesn't have to make the water penetrate to the inside. If the beard is not thick, then he is obligated to wash both the inner and outer part of the beard. And maybe you could even remove part of. Then he is obligated to wash the inner and the outer beard. It is considered thick when his skin is not apparent. And it is considered thin if the opposite is true. When the skin is not apparent, so there, they didn't say at conversation distance. When the skin is not apparent means it's not visible. The third integral is washing once the hands and forearms up to and including the elbows, where the upper arm and forearm join, and what is on them, i.e. hair, even if thick, nails, growths, cracks, and scabs. The fourth integral is wiping the head or part of it once, even if the part is hairless. The command in the Quran is to wipe your head. And if you have hair on your head, then it's valid to wipe the hair on your head. It doesn't say in the Quran to wipe your hair. Maybe in some books we translate it says hair, to wipe the hair, so that should be adjusted. The head. It is sufficient even if it is only one hair or part of a single hair, because the term wipe applies to both. The wiped part must be within the boundary of the head. So I want to check this sentence here. It's already been checked, obviously, but still I want to check it, because what I know is it's sufficient even if it is only one hair, because it says here, or a part of a hair, because they have a reason here. Because wipe applies to both. So what I know is because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wore a turban and he made wudu and he wiped his forelock, and then he continued wiping over the rest of his turban without removing it from his head. So this proves then that it's enough to wipe some of the head. And this doesn't prove that it's obligatory to wipe the forelock in particular, because not a single mujtahid said it's obligatory to wipe the forelock in wudu. Although it was reported in the hadith that he wiped his forelock, not a single mujtahid said wiping the forelock in particular is obligatory. Ash-Shafi'i deduces from this hadith that wiping some of the head is obligatory. The wiped part must be within the boundary of the head. Hence, it is invalid to wipe part of the hair that hangs below the limits of the head when extended to the side where it normally falls. Like if a woman has a bang, or a man, that comes over the forehead. So that hair that's dangling over the forehead, you cannot exclusively wipe that. Or if someone has hair down to his shoulders, so you can't just exclusively wipe the hair at your shoulders, because that's outside of the boundaries of the head. The command in the Quran is to wipe the head. So if you're going to wipe the hair that's on your head, it has to be within the boundary of the head. The fifth integral is washing the feet and what is on them, i.e. hair, nails, growths, and cracks. Once, including the ankles, which are the protruding bones below the shin. This is true if one is not wearing khuf. Where in such a case, the obligation is either washing one's feet or wiping one's footgear if its requirements are satisfied. The requirements are for the footgear to be pure, not najis, to cover the whole foot, including the ankles. The whole foot means everything that's obligatory to wash in wudu. So that includes the ankles. And to withstand walking in them without additional footwear for the necessary errands normally performed by a traveler when getting off to rest and packing up to leave. Yani, another condition for the footgear is that it's durable. And it enables walking. So a sock is not a valid khuf. And the Shafi'is, they said that a khuf is not a sock. So some people, they might translate khuf as sock, or they might translate khuf as leather sock. And sock usually is going to be translated from the word jawrab. So according to Shafi'i school, jawrab is not valid for khuf. You can't wipe on it. And according to the Shafi'i school, the khuf is not a jawrab, a sock. Now, it might look like a leather sock sometimes, for all intents and purposes, a leather sock with a zipper there, or maybe sometimes has some elastic so you can stretch it open to squeeze your foot in there. But it's also going to include even work boots, Timberland boots, for example, that type of thing. Rain boots. I have those rubber boots. They're high and you can stuff your whole pants inside of there. That's valid khuf. So, the requirements are for the footgear to be pure, not najis, to cover the whole foot, including the ankles, and to withstand walking. They have to be durable enough that you can walk in them outside, so that's going to exclude a sock right there. And when we say walking in them, they can withstand walking in them means they're not going to tear while you're walking in them. Those leather socks that are very common, you can find them in so many Muslim shops. Be mindful. They do tend to be flimsy. I don't recall, my regular socks last longer than those leather socks do. If you want to get some of leather socks like that, maybe get some that have some padding in them, or get some custom made for yourself that are durable. I had some that were nice. They had some padding in them. They could stand up on their own. They weren't just like limp and leaning over. You could stand them up, sit there, and they will just be stiff and standing there. But that's a little bit hard to squeeze into your shoe. Sometimes some Muslims want those socks so they can squeeze them into their normal shoes. It is also a condition that the footgear is worn when one is in a state of complete purification. That's the Shafi'i school. This means don't make wudu, wash your one foot and then put on the khuf, and then wash your other foot and then put on the khuf. And again, the khuf could be your boots. Maybe you're just wearing some Timbs or some other types of boots. And so when you make wudu, if you did wash one foot and then put one boot on, and then you wash the other foot and then you put the other boot on, that's not haram, but you can't wipe now on these. Because the condition to be able to wipe on your khufs later is that you put both of them on after a complete wudu. That's the Shafi'i school. So if you did do that, then what you'd need to do is remove the first boot and then put it back on. And now you're good. And it is a condition that they prevent water from going through to the feet. They are water resistant. Water resistant, not necessarily waterproof. Water resistant is good enough. That means you pour water over them and it's not just, your foot's not going to get wet. That's another disqualifier for socks. Because they're not water resistant. The sixth integral is to fulfill these integrals according to the above mentioned order. Yani, to do them in the order mentioned. I.e., by starting with washing the face accompanied with the valid intention, then washing the hands and forearms, then wiping the head, and then washing the feet. Section 8. The nullifiers, that means invalidators of wudu. Ablution. Ablution is nullified by 4 occurrences. Yani, by 4 events. The first nullifier is that which is emitted. Yani, which comes out. Be it customary or not, normal or not, whether what came out was normal or abnormal, a tangible substance like urine or feces or pre-ejaculation or gas from the eliminatory outlets, the front private and the back private, which are the anus, vulva, and penis, with the exception of mani, the ejaculated fluid. I.e., if one's own mani is emitted, it does not nullify one's ablution, according to Imam Ash-Shafi'i, may Allah raise his rank. Why not? Because mani makes ghusl obligatory, the semen. The ejaculated fluid makes ghusl obligatory. And ghusl is bigger than wudu. So since it makes the bigger one obligatory, the smaller one's not going to be made obligatory. I.e., if one's own mani is emitted, it does not nullify one's ablution, according to Imam Ash-Shafi'i. Is typo there. May Allah raise his rank. The second nullifier is touching the penis, vulva, or anus of a human being. Therefore, touching that of an animal does not nullify one's wudu, because the animal's private part is just like the rest of his body. The animal is disregarded altogether in this issue. So, like you could rub the animal's head or back, if you were to touch its private part, it's not going to break your wudu. The wudu is nullified by touching a male's penis or touching the line of contact between the 2 folds of the labia minora adjacent to the vagina, and the urethra with the inside part of the bare hand, or touching the rim of a human's anus, i.e. the edges of the outlet that touch when closed. Not the mere touching of the buttocks. Buttocks here means the gluteus maximus, that's the 2 cheeks. Touching those cheeks are not going to break your wudu. Not even touching the inner plates of those cheeks, but touching the Rim of the anus in particular is what breaks the wudu. That's a good wording there, mentioning the rim. With the inside part of the hand. The inside part of the hands is defined as the area concealed when placing one palm on the other while applying slight pressure. What disappears after you put your palms together and apply slight pressure and spreading the fingers apart. Therefore, touching the aforementioned areas with other than the inside part of the hand, such as the back of the hand, does not nullify one's ablution. Also, for the touching to nullify the wudu, it must be without a barrier, yani skin on skin. Thus, if there were a barrier, the wudu is not nullified. The third nullifier is touching between the opposite sexes. I.e., for a male who reached an age at which he is normally desired to touch with his skin the skin of a marriageable female who reached an age at which she is normally desired. An age of desirability. Therefore, if a young boy who is not normally desired, like he's 2 years old, 3 years old, touches the skin of a young girl who is not normally desired, let's even say 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, touches the skin of a young girl who is not normally desired, or the skin of a woman, or if a man touches the skin of a young girl who is not normally desired, or touches the skin of a woman with a barrier, or if he touches other than her skin, such as her hair, his ablution is not nullified. That's relative. It's not one rule that applies to all the people. Normal age of desirability. So it's going to be basically, though, in a general word, before a person reaches puberty. That's usual. It means, so the age of desirability is the age at which someone might be desired for marriage. The little ones, like 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, they don't have, no one normally finds them desirable. So touching them doesn't break the wudu. Let me read this again. I think maybe I might have read it wrong here. So, therefore, if a young boy who is not normally desired touches the skin of a young girl who is not normally desired. So, here we're assuming they both have wudu or one of them. So then we're talking about someone who's 7 years old, 8 years old, for example. Or the skin of a woman. So this young boy touches the skin of a woman, but he's not at an age where he's desirable normally. Or if a man touches the skin of a young girl who is not normally desired, so she's like 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, for example. Or touches the skin of a woman with a barrier, yani he touched her skin while he has a barrier. Or if he touches other than her skin, such as her hair or her teeth or her nails, his ablution is not nullified. The fourth nullifier is losing one's consciousness or sanity. By insanity, epilepsy, intoxication, or sleeping. Except if one is sleeping with one's buttocks firmly seated, be it on the floor or an animal's back or other than that, then it's not going to break his wudu. Because the gas won't pass as long as he's sleeping, sitting with his rump firmly seated, firmly situated. That's for a person who has enough meat on his backside to close that area, so that if he needs to pass gas, it won't come out. If you want to test that for yourself, next time you feel the urge to pass gas, if you haven't tested it yet, if you feel the urge to pass gas and you're already sitting down, just relax and you're going to see it's not going to come out because you're sitting firmly. And the only way it's going to come out is if you lean to the side so that you can release it. Will you get a copy of the lecture? I don't give out copies of those. I'll probably put it on YouTube though. But anyone who wants recordings, good if you can, if you're able to record it for yourself. That way, you won't miss it or have to worry or have to rely on someone else. One of these lessons didn't even record for some reason somehow. So if a person is making sure he gets his own recordings, then that's good. So sitting with one's buttocks firmly seated, yani. So sleeping with one's buttocks firmly seated, meaning he's sitting, whether he's sitting on the floor, even if his back is not against something, or he's sitting on an animal's back, or other than that, even if his legs were tied up, say he has something tied around his shins and his back, and he's all bundled up there, and he's sitting there on his rump. This is enough. If you fall asleep like that and you had wudu, that's enough to preserve your wudu. Wallahu a'lam. Let's stop there. Do you have any question I can answer for you? Amin wa fikum.
Assalamu
alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes.
Question I got in the beginning said something about the intention of having wudu,
of making wudu,
of the cat, of making wudu, and the intention of the cat.
Intention of what?
But
what
not
was the second
the
one?
intention of the cat.
Oh, we're talking about the intention. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, then you said something after that. I'm not sure. That's what I'm asking you now about. Doesn't count for the intention of fasting. Can you explain that one more time, please? Now,
yes,
explain that one more time, please?
Fasting, we make our intention at nighttime. So that means we're intending before fasting. And fasting starts at dawn, and it's not even valid to make the intention at dawn. That's invalid altogether. So it's obligatory to advance the intention in the case of fasting in particular. And to make the intention at night for an obligatory fast. To make the intention at night. That's the exception to this rule. Otherwise, you need to make the intention when you commence your deed, not before.
Okay, I got that part. Now that okay, I'm asking anyway. I'm asking anyway. Once overslept. I'm talking about fast. Overslept. Woke up, sun's up. He still have to make that intention before Dhuhr prayer.
For fasting? If it's obligatory fast and he did not make an intention at night, he woke up and the sun's already up, then he's going to have to make that day up. And he's still, if it's Ramadan, he's still going to have to abstain on that day.
I don't know, was that Sunnah? For you boys making a Sunnah fast, and he went to sleep, overslept. Does it count for that then? Does it count for that then? You can make that intention
fast, you can intend all the way up until the zenith. As long as you didn't do anything that would break your fast. As long as you didn't do anything that would break a fast. Then you can still make the intention up until zenith time. That's because Allah Ta'ala made doing the Sunnah acts easier than the obligatory ones. So that the slaves would not leave them out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Shaykh. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Shaykh. I appreciate it.
Rumps seated firmly. Yes, one's rump is seated firmly while he's sleeping. Then his wudu will remain valid. Rump without an S. Just his rump. His backside. Wa alaikum assalam. What are the types of khuf? I haven't heard about different types of khuf. I just know that what the conditions of khuf are. If your footgear fulfills the conditions, then you can wipe on that, which we mentioned those conditions. If a person says, I'm black before I'm Muslim, or my blackness comes before my Muslimness, is this kufr? It's not explicit. It's not explicit kufr. It could be kufr. If he says, I'm black first, then Muslim, because he could mean, for example, possibly means, I wasn't born Muslim, but I was born black, so I'm black first. And then I became Muslim, for example. But if he means, my blackness, my ethnicity has priority over my religion, and my physical identity, my physical appearance has priority over my religion, that's blasphemy. Yeah, let a person see his color like his voice. Maybe then, if a person sees his color like his voice, the color of his skin, because it is, the color of his skin is like his voice, really. Meaning, it's an attribute. It's an attribute amongst his attributes. So, if you thought about, what if all the people with baritone voices said, enough is enough. We, the baritone voice people, must unite. Then you say, what? What is this? MashaAllah. Yeah, you're welcome. Yani, it's all about being Muslim first. Strange what some people do. How some people act strange, because they are Muslims and they have something about their racial identity that's very, very, very important to them, in such a way that it's as if they would give, for example, let's use the example of black, but it's not restricted to black. Could be anything else too. Could be Arab, could be something else. Could be Pakistani, could be something else. But it's like saying, for example, let's go with the example of black. It's like saying, since I'm black and I love blacks so much, as if they're on the verge of saying, I love a black non-Muslim more than I love a white Muslim. But they don't say that. I don't think that's their case either. But it's like they're that close. For me, a lot of it's not making a lot of sense. Sometimes some people do need to band together to face some injustice. Yeah, that's true. That's undeniable. Sometimes some people need to band together to face some injustice. But it's more than that for some Muslims. If a person's not a Muslim, it's understandable for me how he's going to be so attached, because he doesn't have religion. He doesn't have correct religion to guide him. But when the person's a Muslim, how he stayed attached to something that's not going to matter Yawm al-Qiyamah. You say to the person, will Allah reward you for the color of your skin? The answer is absolutely not. So if you ask him that and then you see how he reacts, then you're going to know it's his case. Where's his heart at? He said, who comes first, mother, wife, or daughter? The Prophet ﷺ said, أكثر الناس أعظم الناس على الرجل حقا أمه. The person who has the greatest right over a man is his mother. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. As for me, I love the Muslims and I want to be with the Muslims. I don't want to be with a separatist group. Don't be separatists, brothers and sisters. Don't be separatists. Be mindful. Be careful. Someone might be calling you to something that's not, it's not Sunnah, and it's not going to help you Yawm al-Qiyamah. Fact of the matter is, and I know some people don't like me to say it, your blackness is not going to help you Yawm al-Qiyamah, nor your being an Arab is going to help you Yawm al-Qiyamah, or any other color that you have. So it's not the priority. So that's why a person would have, for example, he would say, I want to teach the black children who are not Muslims so they can become Muslims. What about the white children? Do you want to teach the black children more than you teach the white children so that the black children will become Muslims? Not the white children. It's not straight. So you have to be careful here, brothers and sisters. There's something that's not sunnah. You need to be mindful. Protect yourself. May Allah protect us. You said, so if anyone says other than that, is it a major sin? Can you be clear with your question, please? Be a little more clear with that question. Since it came separate, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me. Yani, it's natural, for example, let's say if someone comes from a tribe, if someone comes from an area, a neighborhood, or something like that, it's natural that he's going to have an attachment there. There's no denying that. So if someone says, for example, this neighborhood, I grew up in this neighborhood, I love this neighborhood, I want the people of my neighborhood, I want what's better for them. Okay. There's no problem here. Or, this is my tribe. I grew up in this tribe. I love this tribe. I want them to become Muslims. Okay. But just don't go extreme. Don't be an extremist. And don't be a racist. And don't be a separatist. And really check yourself. Because when you say, I want this for my tribe, I want this for my neighborhood, well, is that different for any other tribe, though? Would you want other than Islam? Yani, would you want Islam for your tribe more than you want it for another tribe? Would you want Islam for your neighborhood more than you want it for another neighborhood? It doesn't work. So that's why I have to be careful here. Don't get swept the wrong way. May Allah protect us. Amin. Amin. And you too. You say, if they say, my wife is over my mother, or my daughter is over my mother, is that a major sin? I haven't heard. But definitely this person needs to be advised. If someone's talking like that, sounds like it doesn't have what's called mizanun shar'i. Mizan shar'i. That means a religious scale, a religious balance. When a person doesn't have a religious balance, a religious scale to weigh one thing against the other, which one has priority, then what's going to be his balance? His personal preferences are going to be. So then he's going to say whatever it is that he prefers. So if he prefers his wife over his mom and he doesn't have a religious scale, he's going to say, my wife has priority for me over my mom, but they're both Muslims too, let's say. So, but if he has a religious scale and he knows what the Prophet said, then he won't say, my wife has priority over my mom. He has to say what the Prophet said. And if he found in himself his own personal inclination is different from what the Prophet came with, then he has to suppress that. And that's what some people don't do. Like in racial issues too. Like they're not suppressing something that's really not sunnah. What did the Prophet say, alayhi salatu wassalam? La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yakuna hawahu taba'an lima ji'tu bih. One of you doesn't believe perfectly until his inclination follows what I came with. That means one of you has an imperfect belief as long as he has any preference that's different, that's contrary to the sunnah. So, for example, then, what if a man doesn't feel inclined to put kuhl in his eyes? You know the kuhl? It's like eyeliner. It looks like an eyeliner. You might say, that's an eyeliner. You say, but sunnah. And then he says, okay, I'm good though. It's not obligatory, I'm good. So this one, what he should do, he should put the kuhl on. Because his inclination, his personal inclination is away from the sunnah. So he has to break himself here and he needs to put the kuhl. He should, yani. It's better for him to put the kuhl in his eyes because his inclination is against it. Or izar. He says to the Muslim, what is that you're wearing there? Is that a skirt? He says, no, it's not a skirt. It's an izar. It's a waistcloth. It covers what's between the navel and the knees. It's not a skirt. Okay, I'll just stick to pants though. So this one, what should he do? He should wear, it's sunnah though. So let's say, is it obligatory? No, it's not obligatory. Okay. Is it sunnah? Yeah, it is sunnah sometimes. It's sunnah sometimes. That's what I know. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, wear izar sometimes and wear pants sometimes. Indeed, the people of the book only wear pants. So it means be different from them. Wear izar sometimes. So then it would be said to him, yeah, sunnah sometimes. So then if he says, then this one he should go right there, go and get himself an izar and wear it. So that he can suppress the inclination that's away from the sunnah. Let the person do it because of sunnah. Sometimes the thing that's sunnah, it does incline. It falls right in compliance with what you like. So then do it. Now you have an excuse to even make an intention. Say, that's great. That's right up my alley. I love to wear a silver ring on my pinky. I'll do it, for example. If it wasn't sunnah, I'd do it. Now that I know it's sunnah, I'll definitely do it. And I'll correct my intention. Yes. You asked a question about the Arabic. Let me see what you said there. What was your method in learning Arabic? How long did it take you to learn? Well, my method in learning Arabic was, first I learned the letters. This is before I went overseas. So you have like two cases. You have a case where a person is not in any type of educational program for learning Arabic, but he studies Arabic. And then you have a case where a person is in an educational program for it. So at first, I wasn't in any type of program or anything. So I learned the letters and I memorized them. And then I learned how to connect them. And then I started trying to connect them. And that's because, how was I doing that? Because I used to take notes. A lot of people don't take notes anymore, especially these days. Like those days when I was taking notes, we had what? Tape recorders. Tape recorders, right? So, okay. But nowadays people have all kinds of stuff. So it's like they don't even write anymore. Subhanallah. So I used to take notes, and then whenever I would hear an Arabic word, I'd try to write it in Arabic. And it was slow at first, and then I got better at it. Until I could write anything that I heard. And that was along with going to class all the time, though, every day. So it means I was writing stuff in Arabic all the time. And also learning the Quran. Not tafsir, just learning how to recite Quran, taking Quran, memorizing Quran. That's all. Just taking it and memorizing it for reciting purposes. And memorization purposes, not tafsir. That helps a lot in studying Arabic. Because that's going to be that's going to be reading and pronunciation. Then when I went overseas to study, then I followed the program they gave. And since I had under my belt what I had, that gave me an advantage when I got there. And it took me about 3 years to be able to speak continuous sentences without mistakes. Which I still make mistakes when I speak. But it took me about 3 years to be able to say a sentence or two or three without a mistake. I remember even when I first learned how to write the letters. And then, you know how like when the brother asked me, can you spell that for me? Can you spell that for me? So I spell it for him. So I started doing that. I would say, we always were saying to the teachers, can you spell that for us? But then I started asking, can you spell it in Arabic for me? So then he starts spelling it in Arabic. So he'll say whatever the letters were. But at first, I was so slow in writing the letters that when I would ask a Shaykh that, he'd get frustrated with me. Because it's taking me too long to write a word. But then, alhamdulillah, it got faster. Amin. When I went overseas, they had at the time what they called Lugha Ula, first level Arabic language, Lugha Thaniya, second level. So I went into Lugha Ula. I was between on a personal level. I was between Lugha Ula and Thaniya. Lugha Ula was too slow for me, too elementary, and Lugha Thaniya was just a little bit deep for me. My feet weren't touching the ground. Now, I studied in Lebanon, in Beirut. You said, with regards to rights of the father over the children, if the child were to cut off ties with the father because the father had wronged him or her in a moral way, would that be a valid reason for them to do so? Moral way, that's ambiguous statement for me, so I don't have an answer for that. If you were to say, though, if you were to take off the word moral way and you were to say, the father wronged him or her in a way that gives the child a religiously valid excuse, then the answer would be yes, because they have a religiously valid excuse. Dangerous territories there, though. What you're asking me about, dangerous territory there. I'm saying that from experience. Not personal experience by the mercy of Allah, but other people's experience that I'm aware of. Sometimes those Muslim children are very, very, very disobedient to their parents and harmful to their parents and disrespectful to their Muslim parents. And what makes it so bad is they think they're in the right for it. They really, really think that they're in the right for what they're doing, what they're saying to their Muslim parents. And the fathers too. Happens in particular sometimes when the man and woman separate, the mother and the father are divorced, and the children grow up, and then they spend so much time with their mother, who has a big grudge against the father, so who knows what she might have been saying in the house about their father. And then, especially if they're girls, and then when their father do something they don't like, you know where that goes. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.